Story because we're getting in breaking news now that there's been a death penalty handed. I repeat, a death penalty handed in section 121 and life imprisonment in 307 IPC announced to Ahmed Murtaza Abbasi in the Gorakhnath temple attack. I repeat, the Gorakhnath temple attack, and we had the pictures of the attack when it happened outside the Gorakhnath temple incident. This is a record hearing, in fact, a record hearing in which the verdict has been delivered in a record time, 60 days of continuous hearing, and the verdict has been delivered. It's death penalty. Shawan, I'm asking you to stay with us because this is a breaking news update. There was an attack. We had the pictures of that attack as well outside the Gorakhnath temple. The death penalty has been handed to the accused, Murtaza, charged under UAPA. We are still picking up the details. It's a breaking story. It's a breaking story, so I'm trying to get more details. Shawan will also be joining us right now in just a few seconds. But the NIA court, I repeat, the NIA court has given capital punishment to Ahmed Murtaza, who attacked uniformed personnel at the Gorakhnath temple. The attack itself was captured on CCTV. The attack itself was seen when you saw Ahmed Murtaza try to target the guards outside the temple in what was a sudden attack. Ahmed Murtaza, who showed no remorse for the attack on the Gorakhnath temple, has been handed the death penalty. I repeat, he's been handed the death penalty, and we're still getting in more details. He was convicted by the Lucknow ATS court as well, and this is a Lucknow-based special court of the anti-terror squad, which had earlier convicted him. And we have a confirmation now that he's been handed a death sentence. I repeat, he's been handed a death sentence. This is 9 months after the security breach in Gorakhnath, Gorakhpur's Gorakhnath temple. The Lucknow-based special court of the anti-terror squad had held Ahmed Murtaza Abbasi guilty. This was on Friday, and this is after 9 months. 9 months after the security breach in Gorakhpur's Gorakhnath temple. Ahmed Murtaza Abbasi was held guilty. He was a 31-year-old IIT Mumbai pass-out chemical engineer, a chemical engineer who had been accused of attacking PAC personnel present at the entrance of the temple. That was him. Those were pictures of him. The temple premises also houses the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, Yogi Adityanath's residence. He's the head priest of the temple there. And the entire attack was captured on camera. He went on an attacking spree, and death sentence now been handed over to Ahmed Murtaza. Big breaking news update now coming in from Uttar Pradesh. And the court of Special Judge Vivekanand Saran Tripathi had earlier held him guilty after finding substantial evidence against him produced by the UP ATS. The court had fixed January 30th to decide the pronouncement of sentence against the accused in the case. And he's now been handed death penalty. It's a big breaking news update here on Republic TV. The public prosecutor had told the media that Abbasi tried to breach the security of the Gorakhnath temple, and this was on the 3rd of April 2022. And he had said that Abbasi attacked the PSC personnel, Anil Kumar Paswan, at the temple gates, and when challenged, he injured him, and in the process also injured a few constables of the PAC, or the Provincial Armed Constabulary. But his bid to enter the temple was foiled by other personnel who pinned him down to the ground outside the temple. The attack itself was captured on TV, CCTV pictures, videos of the attacks captured by witnesses, and he's now been handed the death sentence. He also, Abbasi also tried to snatch the rifle of a security man, so it could have been much bigger. And as far as the case goes, Vinay Kumar Mishra had lodged an FIR under multiple sections of the IPC in the first FIR registered with the Gorakhnath police station. This is in April 2022. And they had said back then that the FIR was lodged under IPC sections 186, 153A, 304, 332, 333, 353 and 394. Different sections, but this is a big one. Former UP DGP Vikram Singh, Dr. Vikram Singh joining us. Dr. Vikram Singh, Ahmed Murtaza Abbasi is guilty of murder, and he's now been convicted. He's been handed the death penalty. I'd like to get your first response to this, sir.
Well, the majesty of law has been witnessed by the nation, and I salute the rule of law. He should have thought of the consequences, as also the family, as to what he was doing. This was absolutely unpardonable And I salute the ATS court that has pronounced the judgment in record time. And I do hope that it is a deterrent punishment for all those who dream of having a misadventure. Let it be known to one and all that anyone who transgresses the rule of law, there will be consequences. And this is one consequence which will be deterrent to all those who have pipe dreams in respect of attacking innocent bystanders, innocent people, absolutely soft targets. And yes, there are bound to be, this also is a window to the prowess of our investigators, prosecutors, and also the majesty of law. Therefore, in the close coordination in which all the three are functioning, this can be showcased as an ideal.
Yes. Go ahead, sir, I can hear you.
This is an ideal case where the police, the investigators, the prosecutors have worked in close coordination with synergy, and the court has pronounced the judgment on the basis of the evidence produced. I salute the ATS court.
So this is a bit, the fact that he's been handed the death penalty, it certainly seems like they've considered all aspects of what he attempted to do when he tried to snatch a rifle. He tried to kill officers on duty as well.
Yes, and that is of the rarest of the rare cases. That is why it has come this way.
Yeah. And you've seen so many cases, Dr. Vikram Singh, you've been on many debates, you've seen so many cases of radicalized people killing other Indians, and we often debate what is the deterrent. Do you think this death penalty now handed over will act as a deterrent, sir?
Obviously, it will act as a deterrent. We have debated, and it bleeds my heart as it does yours and everybody who sees that those impressionable youth have been radicalized beyond the limit, and to the extent that they take law in their own hands and commit a crime for which there is no looking back, making something a human tragedy, making a mess of their lives. Let it be known to one and all that this cannot go on. A resolute nation will not suffer this anguish for very long, and that is why a deterrent punishment has to be given to those who transgress rule of law.
Well, absolutely. And so many cases that we have seen, an IIT graduate to a sickle-wielding assailant, the threats of radicalization. If there was any case where you saw the ugly turn that radicalization can take and how it impacts India's youth, this was one such case, isn't it, Dr. Vikram Singh? A chemical engineering graduate from IIT Mumbai, when he chased cops with the sickle at the Gorakhnath temple, it just tells us how big a threat this is to India. And people come on debates and often say it's not a threat, we're overplaying it, they call it an agenda, etc. But if there was one case ever, this was one of that.
Look at this way, that from a small town of Gorakhpur, where I come from also, this boy has everything going for him. An IIT graduate, an IIT Mumbai graduate, then he could have the world at his feet, but he chose to take law in his own hands, and what could have been a definite game changer for him and his family, well, the rest is a human tragedy, not only for him, but for the whole family. But the rule of law is supreme. If anyone chooses to break it, well, there are bound to be punishments and consequences, so be it.
Yeah. Dr. Vikram Singh, I'll thank you at that point. Dr. Vikram Singh, former UP DGP, saying in the rarest of rare cases, this particular verdict, death penalty being handed over to the attacker, the jihadi attacker, will serve as a deterrent in the fight against radicalization. The Gorakhnath temple attack, the attacker has been handed a death penalty. Ahmed Murtaza Abbasi has been handed a death penalty. According to reports, he's been a graduate of the IIT Mumbai, worked in two big companies after that, and also worked as an app developer. His family had later tried to claim that he struggled with mental issues, etc. He's now been convicted. He's been handed the death penalty. The quantum of sentencing has happened, and there was enough evidence against him. Many pictures, videos, CCTV footage that showed him attacking men in uniform. Let me go across to Shravan as well, joining us with the inputs on the story. Shravan, still remember when those images came in from the Gorakhnath temple of the nature of this attack? It was clear that this attack was planned. He had planned this attack. He went after the policeman, tried to snatch a rifle, and he tried to enter the temple. It could have been much worse.
Well, in fact, first, let's just take our viewers through what really transpired. Now, on the left-hand side, that's the image of Murtaza. And the fact of the matter is that he had carried out an attack on the Uttar Pradesh Provincial Armed Constabulary. Following his brief chase that was done by the Uttar Pradesh police, he was placed under arrest. And after a brief interrogation, it was found out that there was a clear link with ISIS. In fact, his handlers had provided him a financial aid, and there was a recce that was essentially done of the area. Now, Uttar Pradesh police, in its preliminary investigation, essentially found out that there was a larger plan in place. Now, there was not much details that was put out by the Uttar Pradesh police at that point in time, whether at all there was the plan was to carry out an attack in other place or not, but he had only managed to attack a police constable. Now, what's important to point out here is that there is a clear link that was established between Murtaza and his handlers, the ISIS handlers. This was not a lone wolf attack that was actually carried out by Murtaza himself. Now, if you remember, there was also a briefing that was essentially done by the Uttar Pradesh ADG Law and Order, Prashant Kumar, who had indicated that they had found out that there were communication links that were established by Murtaza with his handlers, and that there was ISIS literature that was also found out from places that have been linked to Murtaza following the searches that were carried out by the Uttar Pradesh police. Now, this particular case was thereafter handed over to the National Investigation Agency, and the NIA in its investigation also found out that he was essentially part of a particular module. There was not much that was reflected in the charge sheet in terms of the active members of this particular module, but it turned out that from the literature that was recovered from the premises that have been linked to Murtaza, it was abundantly clear that he was part of a module that has been active for several months put together, and the fact that there was also an indication of the fact that not only the attack that he was planning to carry out at the temple, but also there were several other places where the recce was also done. Finally, the special NIA court today has awarded a capital punishment to Ahmed Murtaza.
The fact that he was an ISIS operative is often overlooked because somewhere when you report such stories, there were people who questioned, who tried to push the narrative that he was mentally unstable, etc. How could he? There are reports, and in the course of our investigation and what you reported, Shawan, we also reported how he had given money to ISIS. He was actively involved in the ISIS operations, was involved in helping ISIS carry out terror attacks through funding, had reportedly sent arms as well. And this wasn't just now, it was happening for years together, isn't it?
Well, in fact, if you go by the investigation that was carried out by the Uttar Pradesh police, there wasn't much clarity as far as how long did he actually receive the training and from where did he receive the training. What was clear that there were linkages that the Uttar Pradesh police had come across, and that linkages was with his handlers. Now, some of his handlers were based outside the country, and that is the reason why when the National Investigation Agency stepped in, they were basically looking at who were the active handlers and whether at all there were active members of this particular module from which he had operated. Now, he had successfully managed to carry out the attack on the Uttar Pradesh Provincial Armed Constabulary. But the fact of the matter is that it turns out that there was a larger plan. That plan was also reflected in the charge sheet that was filed by the National Investigation Agency. Now, under several sections, we could also take our viewers through the sections that were first invoked by the Uttar Pradesh police and thereafter by the National Investigation Agency, because it turns out from the investigation that was carried out by the Uttar Pradesh police, they had basically invoked section 121, under which the death penalty has also been meted out, and he was also given a life imprisonment under section 307 for attacking a police personnel. Important to point out here is that there was a lot of politics over this entire matter by saying that innocent were basically being targeted. Remember the political vocabulary on this entire matter, which only went on to indicate that when it comes to terrorists like these, there was an attempt that was made by the political parties to try and shield them. But the fact of the matter was that there was enough evidence that was gathered by both the Uttar Pradesh police first and thereafter by the National Investigation Agency to keep a watertight case, and that's exactly what has happened.
Sure, we'll leave it at this for now. Taking a short break now. Coming back with the details of this case, rarest of rare case is what many experts are calling it. We'll take a short break. Coming back with the details and the sentencing that has happened. Stay tuned.